One of the most anticipated series of the day here, coming in Cloud9 versus Method Orange. Elimination series at the very start of the day, absolutely crazy. I'm Healingstad, and I am hosting for you. We have Ben Rookie, Super Tease, and Zico on the desk for this one, and this is going to be a crazy series. Both of these teams really need a performance. We talked about it at the start of the day. Only 60 points between the first place and the 6th place in North America right now for the summer season, and only 4 can go to the summer land, Zico.
Yeah, and that's what all these teams are gunning for, of course. They all want to go to the summer finals and be in that same situation as Cloud9, where you know that you've qualified for BlizzCon, so if, you know, you're slow to adapt to a patch or whatever, you still have that, you know, safety net in being qualified already. Of course, Europe as well is super close in terms of points. And like we kind of mentioned at the start of the day, today we have a wide open bracket because Cloud9, they're the #1 point holder. They're in the bottom, you know, in the lower bracket. Same thing goes for Method Orange. Same thing goes for the boys. All these teams that did go to the spring finals, they're going to be down in the lower bracket, which means that this is really an opportunity for teams like The Move, teams like M2KC and Resurgent to really grab some points and get ahead.
Wow, that's a close poll. You guys really, this is a tough one to call. I mean, Method Orange, they've been really struggling against the Mage Lock Druid, but I'm a fan of the underdogs. I'd love to see them pull through with a new composition here on the Grand Arena. Blind pick between these two teams, a best of 5. We'll decide who gets sent home packing. Cubsy, Chanamon, and Wealthy Man have been such a dominant force in North America and quite frankly the world for Cloud9. We'll have to see what Method Orange have as an answer for it.
This is going to be really interesting to see what both of these teams lock in blind. And the first thing that catches my eye...
I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, I was going to say, the first thing that catches my eye is Wealthy Man is a fire mage.
Yeah, you instantly see that combustion cone and it's like, that's not very Cloud9.
That sounds kind of spicy, but I don't know if that's exactly what they need in this matchup.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be... I mean, I think that was the mistake that made them leave the game, but
I think so.
We'll have to see. I think Method Orange, they were locking in the Windwalker.
Yeah, we saw a Windwalker, which, do we like the Windwalker? Because we have said in the past that they've been kind of steering away from Trill on that pick.
Well, I think if they locked in DKDH, I would be very sad because it's a matchup they consistently lose over and over.
What about Frost Windwalker DK? We saw the Frost Death Knight of Joel doing 20.
I mean, Mez played Frost DK a little bit.
Yeah, but it did way less damage last patch. I feel like Frost got the most amount out of 8.2.
Oh no, my point was that we saw Mez play Frost Death Knight. He
lasted a long time,
right? Like, wasn't it a pretty good game?
Yeah, maybe on a smaller map that's the strategy that they'll go for. But I think they was actually playing Unholy in the matchup. So yeah, we'll have to see what exactly goes down in the next game. Interesting. When I had a chance to, I was actually playing with Snuts the other day, and I was asking him his thoughts on 8.2, and the big question for me is, how does he feel like Mage Lock Druid is in 8.2? Because obviously, I mean, this is the composition that won the spring finals.
Sure.
So we could assume it's like one of the best compositions, and he was saying he thinks Mage Lock Druid is even better in 8.2.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be scary for a lot of these teams. If Cloud9 can play Mage Lock Druid and they feel like it's even stronger into a lot of the teams they go up against, that's quite the statement.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things we have to consider as well is that the Move actually beat Cloud9 running their Mage Lock Druid, and I think in that series, if I remember right, said they swapped over to the Rogue Mage Druid.
Whoa, he actually is playing fire.
So it looks like Wealthy Man is going to be sticking to that Fire Mage. We've got a couple of Bakers on the desk here who will be interested to see the outcome of this one. Channel staying on that Destruction Warlock. We'll really have to see how much pressure they can put out because Method Orange with that Windwalker Monk, they're gonna pack a punch, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be looking at Wealthy Man's build. I'm really curious to see what he's running.
See up high.
More than likely going to be running the Greater Pyroblast, so he's going to be able to spam out a lot of incoming damage. The one problem with the Fire Mage is he doesn't have the same kind of snares. There's not going to be the Blizzard, there's not going to be the Frozen Orb to sort of keep Method Orange pinned back behind the pillar. And I could easily see a strategy for Method Orange where they just kind of sit back, wait, grip in Chanimal, try to do as much damage as possible, kind of work. I don't think Wealthy Man can push in the same way he does on a Frost Mage. And I'm trying to think, what do you think it is about the Fire Mage that, I mean, Wealthy Man is so reluctant in the past to ever go fire. Why now?
I feel like your guess is as good as mine. I mean, Greater Pyroblast is certainly going to scale up quite a lot with the 445 item level, as it does 35% of a player's maximum health, so maybe they want to take advantage of that. Infernals have landed, Meteor combined. They're going to be going after all 3 members of Method Orange, but Mez is the one taking most of the initial attack. Triple Dragon's Breath Cloud9 focusing on purely pressure early on. Mez going to be retreating around the corner. Method Orange are definitely looking scared here in game number 1. It's obviously the strategy they need to play, staying at the pillar against these double spellcasters to avoid important spells like the Chaos Bolts and the Greater Pyro Blast. But if they can't develop any offense later on in the game into deeper dampening, then they're just digging their own grave.
I mean, we'll see what Cloud9 can really get done. That was a combustion. Wealthyman gets gripped in. Nice triple Dragon's Breath, looking for some more crowd control, but they're going to be pushing in. Rake's done now on Sidu, big damage. And this is one of the scary things, and why, I mean, I like playing this composition, the Destruction Warlock Fire Mage. Basically what happens, if they're going after your Destruction Warlock, you get to spam out Greater Power Blast, and you do a lot of damage spamming out Greater Power Blast. And if they go after you, you have a Destruction Warlock who's just spamming out Chaos Bolt. So for Method Orange, they definitely have a difficult task ahead of them. This is a composition that I feel like has been good for quite some time. We just really haven't seen too many teams actually implement it. It runs very similar to the double Fire Mage, except I think overall it's just a much better, more well-rounded comp. So I like the fact that Cloud9 is experimenting a little bit with their Mage Lock Druid. They're actually going to be playing Fire Mage in this matchup. But I feel like, yeah, Frost Mage would have been just as good, but at this point, it doesn't seem like Method Orange is able to leave the pillar at all.
Yeah, not leaving the pillar whatsoever. It would be my expectation that they're waiting for the deep dampening push onto Chanimal, try and run him over. This is the strategy we've seen time and time again against the Destruction Warlock, even in 8.1.5. This is the best way to get through their passive Soul Leech, which does a huge amount of healing over time through an absorption effect. So Method Orange are waiting for all of this added healing bonus on the Destruction Warlock to be reduced in dampening, and then make a push, trading their defensive cooldowns like Anti-Magic Zone and Touch of Karma to immune the Greater Pyroblast, immune the Chaos Bolts, and while they're immune, they look to push the Warlock over. Trying to do that before dampening is likely to just cost their defense and not really get any of Cloud9's, so their main prerogative is to just avoid the fight as much as possible. It's kind of up to Cloud9 and as to what they want to do about that during the period of time where Method Orange are focused on defense. Right now, Chanimal looks like he's trying to just get up in their face, casting out a couple of Chaos Bolts, stunning up Trill, but he did manage to get Diffuse Magic off right before the bash, reducing a lot of that magic damage. Now avoiding the fight by rolling around the corner. Sidu in a Ring of Frost. They're baking the 8 here against Sidu, getting the stun now out of the Ring of Frost, but
yeah,
how much damage are they going to really get? I know there's not 2 of them. I know that it's not a figure 8. You can't
bake an 8 without 2 Fire Mages,
yes,
Sydney.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate that.
I was just giving you like a shout out. I know that it's not actually what you can do, but it was...
It's okay, I appreciate it either way. I just want to make sure everyone at home knows that that's not an 8. All right, takes 2 circles to make an 8.
Yeah, don't discredit it. The 8 takes a lot of work.
I can do it with that World Quest where you draw a circle and I can draw one in, okay? I will do it manually for them.
All right, Wealthyman looking for Greater Power Blast, Chanimal as well. Trill trying to get some damage rolling onto Wealthyman, but this damage just seems overwhelming for Method Orange. Cubsy's having a lot of fun. He's just sitting back, allowing his 2 wizards to just cast out these really powerful spells. And because hit points went up so much with some of the new gears and essences, what ends up happening is percentage-based abilities like Greater Power Blast get a buff, essentially. They do more damage than the scaling on other abilities. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why Wealthyman wanted to run the Greater Power Blast. It just does so much effective damage onto Trill, onto Mez. Later on, it's going to become really difficult for Sidu to actually heal through that. But like I said, I do see a win condition for Method Orange. If they can stall out the game long enough, they can grip Chanimal in, they can keep up the consistent pressure, they could just outright take him down really quickly.
All right, Sidu the target here. Cloud9 mixing it up, trying to go after the healer, but Sidu able to reposition to be A-OK. Wealthyman taking some damage, and as fire as opposed to frost, he's not as slippery. They're going to be right on top of him, doing a lot of pressure. Ironbark traded out, but Trill has spent a lot of time out in the open, and they've left Chanimal free casting. This could be risky, but they want to take the risk to try and get an Ice Block cauterized from Wealthyman. They're not finding it. Cubsy's defense is too strong. Dampening has now kicked in, and Method Orange look to engage.
Method Orange, they're going to be pushing in. They've had enough of just sitting at the pillar. Wealthyman taking a little bit of damage. We are at Dampening. Trill deciding to run away. Mez caught in midfield. Unfortunately, there's no Ice Nova. There's no Pet Nova to keep him locked down, and that's one of the disadvantages of playing the Fire Mages. You don't have that same lockdown. It's going to be a lot easier for Method Orange to run and hide. The flip side is a free casting Fire Mage does a ton of damage. So if they're eating Greater Power Blast, it's unhealable for Sidu. There's nothing they can do about it. It's just too much damage. That's why they're forced to run away in these positions. but when you don't have a Frost Mage, they actually can much easier run and hide. Infernals get dropped down. Channel, they're looking for an offensive push. Who are they going to go after? Combustion not available for Wealthy Man just yet. Still looking for Greater Pyroblast. Who's he going to land it on? One gets channeled out onto Mez. The second one, Mez could just die. Big damage. They have to be so scared in that situation. Luckily, Death Strike is actually really effective. If Mez can Death Strike after a Greater Pyroblast land, it's a massive heal onto himself. So it's going to be important that Wealthy Man and Channel, they create distance if they're going after Mez, so you can't just Death Strike all those hit points back to health, or back to full.
Channel and Wealthy Man, too threatening for Method Orange. They're reluctant to make a push, but now in dampening, they're feeling confident. They're going after Channel. They get Unending Resolve. They get Iron Bark. They maybe even just outright kill him. An impressive amount of damage from Method Orange. They pull most of the defensive lineup from Cloud9. And even though Cubsy is at full mana in patch 8.2, there are obviously a bunch of new essences that came into the game, and one of those, the Ever Rising Tide, grants mana regeneration every time you heal, has a chance to give a little bit of mana back on top of the Memory of Lucid Dreams, which pretty much every Restoration Druid is running both of those at the same time. So even if their mana is low, they will continue to regenerate at a drastically increased rate. So much so that the lead that Cubsy has, I'm not sure if it's going to result in too much impact in the overall game. Instead, what it is about is making a gigantic push of damage deep in dampening, holding the target in place long enough so that you can kill them. This is more easily done on the Warlock Chanimal because he can't really run away. We see Chanimal gripped in, then Ring of Peace around the corner, but he seems confident to just chill with Method Orange on the pillar. Says, okay, you want to give me a hug? I'll give you a hug with a Chaos Bolt attached. Just standing right on top of Method Orange, slobbing out a bunch of damage. Trill rolling back over to interrupt the follow-up Chaos Bolt. Wealthy Man trying to set up some Greater Pyroblast, but now being line of sighted. I mean, Method Orange got exactly what they wanted in that last exchange, so they're waiting for the perfect crowd control. I'd love to see the paralysis, asphyxiate on Cubsy, and then a ton of damage towards Chanimal. I think if they initiate with this crowd control, they could kill Chanimal in the next 15 seconds. Maybe they just kill him with pressure. He uses Demonic Gateway to try and get to safety. A stolen Polymorph, beautifully timed by Mez there, gets the Glidier's Medallion from Cubsy. Surprising to not see them move over and try and go for any more crowd control on Cubsy. They had so much momentum off the back of that. Now Iron Bark going to be available. Infernals have landed. Chanimal looks to counter pressure.
He just had to use a lot of mana to heal through, and I was looking at Shrill's gear. He's running a really interesting Essence Condensed Life Force, and that's going to be summoning a Guardian of Azeroth to assist you and deal damage. So in these situations where they grip Chanimal in, they're just trying to put out as much damage as possible. Trill has basically been the only player to run this Essence so far. It's going to be an extra hit, basically summoning an extra little minion for extra damage. Right now, Method Orange, they're kind of pinned behind the pillar. Wealthy Man's been able to free cast a lot of Greater Pyroblasts, creating pressure for his team. Trill and Mez forced to run away. See, really struggling. Mez almost just falling. A massive Greater Pyroblast landing there from Wealthy Man. AMS gets traded out. Polymorph now on Sidu as he's caught into a full fear. Another Greater Pyroblast getting channeled out by Wealthy Man. Combustion gets traded out. They're just going for the kill. Mez has to trade out the Anti-Magic Zone, but he gets Mortal Cold outside of it. Rooted as well. Nicely done by Chanimal. Second Chaos Bolt comes in. Method Orange, this is a scary situation for them, whereas Cloud9, look at that, they're all just sitting pretty full health.
Yeah, that window, that opportunity is now slipping away. Unending Resolve available in 10 seconds. This is now Cloud9's match. They're looking to close. Chaos Bolt's flying in. Wealthy Man on the right. Chanimal, I'm surprised to not see him move to the left. He's moving to the right as well. This means that Method Orange can rotate around easily and avoid the fight. Wealthy Man can use Demonic Gateway, escape to safety. I love the positioning there on Chanimal's part so that when he gets gripped in, he can use that to escape to safety. Looking for a stacked up Shadow Fury, getting all of the interrupts out of the way, so now there's none for Wealthy Man. Sidu is forced to stun him to stop the Greater Pyroblast. Chanimal getting a Demonic Gateway. Ursul's Vortex from Cubsy. Cloud9 look like they want to try and set up for a kill. Greater Pyroblast being channeled. Trill rolls over, but he blinks away from him. One Greater Pyroblast straight to the face. One Chaos Bolt straight to the same place, and that is Sidu. Well, Barks can be enough. Rooted out in midfield, manages to get around the corner, catch a Swiftman, but now Trill was left behind. They're switching to him. Instead, goes all in for a kill on Chanimal. Chanimal sees that they're doing an all-in and trades an all-in defensive lineup as well, both Iron Bark and Unending Resolve. So both teams trading everything that they've got here in what could be the final moments of the match.
Yeah, Wealthy Man still looking to generate some pressure. I'm still not convinced that Fire is better in this matchup. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it plays out. Trill's already traded out the Touch of Karma. Diffuse Magic gets traded out as well. Wealthy Man looking for another Greater Pyroblast. Lands onto Trill. Unfortunately, it was into the Diffuse Magic, so it didn't get that much damage done, but Trill is a really exposed target right now. He's caught in midfield, caught into a Shadow Fury. Greater Pyroblast being channeled out. Trill has to run and hide. One goes off. Trill could fall. Massive hit there by Wealthy Man as he gets low. Sea-Doo struggling to keep him alive. He has Iron Bark in just 1 second. Is he going to be able to get it off? Trill hiding behind the pillar, channeling out the heals. Big damage from Wealthy Man. Combustion gets traded out. Sea-Doo has to keep Trill alive as he kites away, crossing the map. This is the distance that they needed. Trill should be in a safe space at this point. Sea-Doo, if he can connect some heals, it's going to be great. Rake Stun comes in from Cubsy as he's looking for a re-stealth. What are they going to be able to get done? Cubsy doesn't want to throw away the game at this point. Has to be a little bit defensive. But Method Orange, they're just pinned at the pillar. And who do they go after at this moment? I mean, Chanimal, he doesn't have the Unending Resolve. He could be vulnerable, but look at his positioning. He's just so far away. He's not allowing Mez to get the Death Grip. He's just allowing Wealthy Man with his Ice Block and Temporal Shield to basically be the defender of the team. He can be the one that pushes in, gets aggressive, stalls out the game. Chanimal drops a nice little gateway there for Wealthy Man if he needs to escape. That was really good backup there by Chanimal for Wealthy Man.
Yeah, Chanimal repositioning, realizing that Method Orange are waiting for a Death Grip stun, so the Demonic Gateway needs to be on the same pillar as Method Orange so that Cloud9 have a getaway when that engagement occurs, because Touch of Death is available in a couple of seconds and there's no Unending Resolve. And now at 45% dampening, Iron Bark may not be enough for Chanimal to survive. This is what I anticipate Method Orange trying to do. They're repositioning again to try and get away from the Demonic Gateway. If that gap closer is utilized, they won't find a kill, but now they find Chanimal on the corner with no Demonic Gateway. He's going to use Mortal Coil instead to stall. This is the Touch of Death. This is the big push. This is what Method Orange were banking the entire game on. If they don't get a kill with this push, it's going to be devastating for them, and it doesn't look like they're going to. Chanimal takes 0 damage, relays that gateway, goes into midfield, and now there are going to be a lot of Greater Pyroblast. One flying over, but Chanimal's still in a bit of trouble. Where are the other Greater Pyroblast? Wealthy Man's desperate. He's spamming up Polymorphs instead, getting control of the fight, then going for the Greater Pyros. Another one. Cubsy jumps
one on
in.
Mez.
They're switching targets. They're going after 2 of them. A 2-pronged assault from Cloud9. Touch of Karma. Maybe they're just going to bust through it. They're not able to. Trill will duck around the corner and stay alive. Dampening continues to mount higher and higher.
Yeah. And at this point, I mean, as the game moves forward, maybe Sea-Doo can recover. His mana's not doing great. The Essence is obviously doing work to keep his team still in the fight. They grip in Chanimal, looking for an offensive push. Wealthy Man there, looking for Polymorph spam to slow down some of this damage. It's going to be difficult for Chanimal to actually escape. Infernals get dropped down, and they're just going for it. Sea-Doo's no mana left. Iron Bark is the last line of defense. He has to trade it out on Trill. Dragon's Breath comes in from Wealthy Man. Trill just could easily fall. Diffuse Magic, the last thing to keep him alive. Wealthy Man looking for a Greater Pyroblast. Mez has to run and hide. Trill has to run and hide. Polymorph now on Sea-Doo. Cloud9 just pure dominance in this game. It would be a miracle if Method Orange could come back, but they might be able to do it. Anti-Magic Zone trades out, but Trill falls, and that did not look good for Method Orange.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to look like, I thought the Fire Mage as well. I was like, maybe this is a good pick for Method Orange. You know, they have a Windwalker, they have a Unholy Death Knight, maybe they can get uptime in deep dampening, but it just seemed like every single time they went for one of those pushes, one of those Infernals popped, or there was double coil. There's always something for Cloud9. They always seem so prepared and one step ahead.
Yeah, and I think just the new essences with the Druid healing are just supporting a Fire Mage really, really well. Like, it felt like every time Method Orange left the pillar to commit onto Wealthy Man, they were just forced back most of the time, and when they try to grip somebody in, I mean, they couldn't really get too much done because, I mean, you can see it right here, they grip Chanimal in, but he's full HP, you know, everybody is kind of dropping low from just the raw pressure of the MLD, and then, you know, the Chanimal actually just even turns on them with the Infernal, double Mortal Coil, Kleptomania, you know, Cataclysm, just basically AoEing them down at this point. And Wealthy Man, of course, as well. Eventually, he is going to get a Greater Pyroblast off. He gets the kick on the Greater Pyro, gets the Sheep, and then he can start casting a new Greater Pyro, and it's going to land there on Trill. Anti-Magic Zone not going to be able to save him, and it seems pretty good to play a Fire MLD, actually.
Yeah, it seems good.
Seems good.
I mean, the thing is, they don't have any damage, and eventually, like, when you're at that stage of the game, a Greater Pyroblast lands, it's really difficult to heal through. I mean, he's playing the Kleptomania, so he can remove all the heal over time effects. And you go after the Fire... It's like I said, they're in a situation where if they go after the Fire Mage, they're going to lose to the Destruction Warlock. If they go after the Destruction Warlock, they lose to the Fire Mage. And I don't know if this composition is going to work out for them. That seemed really solid from Cloud9. And I have to say, I'm really happy that Wealthy Man is playing the Fire Mage, because I think that is something kind of needed for Mage Lock Druid. It gives them a lot more versatility, and now they have 2 different specializations, and certainly Fire will be better in some matchups.
Yeah, they're really showing that they can excel on this comp. They know the Mage Lock Druid, no matter the specialization, you can bet, like, if the Warlock swapped around, like, let's say Affliction was buffed, that they would be able to play that as well. Chanimals and Snuts on this roster, absolutely crazy, but they pull through with a convincing victory here. I do want to talk about one of the essences that's very notable on Cloud9 that they seem to really like, which is the Vision of Perfection. No, I'm not talking about Venrugi here, I'm talking about the actual essence in the game, which reduces the cooldown of some of those major offensives.
That's what you said about Zico.
Yeah, that's what you said about me.
We have a perfect desk. I was going to.
I'm the only one that hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
You're at Championship Sunday waiting for whatever. You guys ruining my life. But anyways, I do want to talk about this essence because I think it is very important because we see, especially for the Destruction Warlock, the fact that it summons those Infernals is so disruptive to Method Orange Z.
Yeah, it just procs Infernal or procs a duration of your major offensive cooldown. So if you're a rogue, it can proc Vendetta or Combustion or, you know, any massive cooldown like that. And if it procs at a time when you're already bursting, that's, you know, you're essentially going to get yourself a free defensive cooldown that way. And then, of course, the minor trade just reduces the cooldown of your big cooldown ability. And that's also very important because there's a lot of CDs in the game that just kind of line up with each other, you know. You want to trade certain CDs. For example, the Vendetta again. It's a 2-minute cooldown, so it's a nice trade to Trinket out of a stun when the Vendetta is being used on you. And then you're going to have those 2 line up together. But with the Vision of Perfection, all of a sudden, there's going to be a window there where you're going to have your cooldown and they won't have their defensive. So it's a very nice essence. A lot of people are picking it. It's not that surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Cloud9. They're going with new different stuff. For this blind pick here, would you lock in the Frost Mage for the MLD, do you think? Or should they stick with the Fire?
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like Cloud9 will win with either specialization. I really do.
What about Arcane?
I actually feel like they'd win with Arcane too.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Let's see if Wealthy Man
Come on,
flexes
Wealthy
his
Man.
Arcane.
Come on, man.
The question is, on the smaller map, Method Orange, I feel like for Cloud9, they normally don't get off Mage Lock Druid unless they're
forced, yeah.
Yeah, unless they're forced. So I think there's almost 100% chance they're going to be locking in the Mage Lock Druid on the smaller map. I don't know. Is Fire better? Is Frost better? I think either are completely fine options. Maybe Wealthy Man going after or going Fire is trying to just throw Method Orange for a loop. Maybe they've practiced a lot against the Frost Mage, and now all of a sudden this is the curveball that they weren't expecting. I'm curious to see what Cloud9 does, but I think it will be Mage Lock Druid 100%.
Yeah, and the Mage Lock Druid does come in. It is going to be Frost. And, I mean, for Method Orange, they're just put in this impossible situation, I feel like. They just don't have an answer for Mage Lock Druid. Every single time we do see, and it's very rare that we see Mage Lock Druid defeated from Cloud9, it's, you know, either double casters, maybe a Shadow player, a Lock Shaman Druid, those are the sort of comps we're talking about, or the move somehow pulling through with Shadow Priest Rogue. Like, all of these compositions are just ones that Method Orange don't have available to them. Is it a case of them, they need to, like, branch out more, do you think? Or because they always just kind of revolting back to the same 2 or 3 comps and as an answer.
I think what we've seen from Mage Lock Druid so far in Cloud9, the only things that beat it are Assassination Rogue. So Assassination Rogue with a Fire Mage or a Shadow Priest. I mean, that's a good answer. Method Orange doesn't have that. Or a double caster setup, I think, would be really good. Like, you know, a Shadow Priest, Destruction Warlock. Like, that's a composition I could see beating Mage Lock Druid. I know Oz said that's a matchup they're very confident in, and they don't think they would lose.
Might see that later today.
Yeah, if Method Orange doesn't have the double caster setups and they don't have an Assassination Rogue, I don't know what they can do. No one else has shown a composition that actually works against the Mage Lock Druid. Nobody has been able to beat Cloud9 outside of an Assassination Rogue and a double caster. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if Method Orange doesn't have those, I was talking to Cedu a little bit, and I was suggesting maybe it's time they could have Assassination Rogue. I know they've toyed a little bit with Mez on the Rogue. I think Trill has a Rogue set up on the TR as well. It does feel like, you know, you've got such a good mage. You've got Sam I Am, who we talk about as one of the best mages in North America here, like really good on that mage. So to not have a rogue option, obviously they have the Windwalker, but they outside of that, they're not really utilizing Sam. Would you like to see one of these players picking up the rogue on Method Orange so they could potentially bring out a rogue mage at some point, or do you think that takes too much specialization and they're better investing in other things?
No, I think it would be nice for them to have. I feel like Trill is so good at multiclassing. Trill is so good at the
I like
melee.
this.
Ooh.
This is going to be a good
Or
one.
they can do it the other way around as well. They can have Sam just multi-class off the mage. Just to answer your question, yes, I think if Trill picked up a rogue, that would be nice. But at the same time, I think the RMD is something that it would take a lot of time to invest in, and maybe it is better to invest it into something like this. Shadow Priest DK. What do we think of this?
Well, I just to your point, I mean, I feel like they have put so much time into Windwalker, Mage, Wrestler. Do you really feel like the Assassination Rogue would be that much of a leap for them?
I feel like it would be a big difference still, because there's a lot of different strats. I feel like Windwalker Mage, you pick it, you play against the double melee comp, and it's pretty obvious what you're going to do. Survive, stack them up, cleave, win. And with a rogue, there's some different stuff where you have some strats where you're literally just tunneling a healer the whole game. You have some strats where you're just tunneling, one of the DPS, and
So in matchups like that, it'd be fine.
I think in the matchups where you just tunnel the healer the whole game, I think Trill is going to do phenomenally. Seeing how
He loves
played
that sort of thing, yeah.
I mean, I did see him play Windwalker DK in Legion, so I think he has experience with that in that field.
It must just be so nice to have Kinney shot on your team, It's like just a lockdown guaranteed every 20 seconds against something like a Destruction Warlock. But, I mean, I do want to dive into this composition because Shadow Priest Death Knight, not something we've seen too much on the broadcast. I know in the North American ladder, there's a few of these teams running at 3K plus last season. What do we think about this composition? Can it out-damage and out-pressure the Mage Luck Druid?
So we have seen Method Orange, I think we've seen Method Orange try something like this before. And what happens, if I recall, it was on Nagrand Arena. I think Method Orange actually blind picked us into Cloud9. What happened was Sam I Am was snared, and he got spell locked, and he got counterspelled, and he really didn't do too much. He was just a target dummy for Cloud9. But on this smaller map, and in 8.2, I mean, we've seen Shadow Priest do quite well in 8.2 so far with some of the essences. I think on the smaller map, he can get a lot of damage out onto multiple members. I mean, Mez on the Unholy Death Knight obviously going to be doing a lot of damage as well, and I think this is an answer potentially coming from Method Orange on a small map specifically.
Yeah, I actually like the composition. I think it can work wonders for them if they can stop drinks, if they can keep the pressure up. It's going to be nice to have a lot of purges. But I think we saw this composition with a Shaman before, so I think this could be the first time we see it with a Druid. It's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing.
Okay.
I'm very curious to see how this composition works for them as well. Obviously with the new essences, which I really want to check on Mez, he may be able to get Necrotic Strike baseline with the Conflict and Strife, which is what I want to know if he is running. He is, so this allows him to maybe get Necrotic Aura. I'm surprised that he's not running Necrotic Aura playing with a Shadow Priest. That would give the Shadow Priest 8% more damage. Instead going for Dark Simulacrum, I mean, there's high value there, being able to steal. Actually, not so much. I think the Fire Mage it was high value, you get greater Pyroblast, but in this matchup, it's just Polymorph.
Fear.
Or Fear, when you already have Fear and Cyclone, potentially. I think Dark Simulacrum is less value than... I mean, to me, their strategy is get into Impotent, do an overwhelming amount of damage, right? That has to be the strategy. If they try to play the crowd control strat, Cloud9 wins that. They're going to be way more effective at crowd controlling and bursting down a target than Method Orange are. So getting the Necrotic Aura, I think, would have been a better way to build momentum. But we already see that Cloud9 are just all over Method Orange. Total disrespect, just standing right on top of him.
Well, this is a problem. I mean, Sam I Am, he is the only one that's just eating interrupt after interrupt. Let's see if he can get some VTs out. Seedu's still in a little bit of trouble. Sam I Am trying to get back into prime position, gets interrupted again. You just spam interrupt Sam I Am. When he's not interrupted, you Shadow Fury him. It's just really difficult for the Shadow Priest to get anything rolling in this matchup with the way they play it. And I think Cloud9, they know exactly what their win condition is, exactly how they have to play it out. Sam I Am still just not getting topped off. Seedu pushing forward, landing a bash. Do they have any follow-up crowd control? Unfortunately not. Infernals does get dropped down. There's 2 Infernals down. You can see right now the power of that for the Destruction Warlock. When you see 1 Infernal, you run and hide. 2, I don't even know what you do. You should probably just press Dispersion. Luckily, Sam I Am was able to survive as he got interrupted. Seedu in a prime position. There was no crowd control on him, so at this point, he can easily heal Sam I Am up.
Good recovery from Method Orange throughout the initial attack of Cloud9. That Dark Simulacrum Polymorph maybe getting some value there on the Cubsy. Bit unfortunate that it broke prematurely. Ultiman lobbing out a ton of damage with that Flurry. Chanimal Mortal Coiling them away though, stalling it, looking for big Chaos Bolts. The Fell Fissure Honor talent for Chanimal, going to be putting those green Fell Eruptions on the ground, and when an enemy player is standing in them, they take 50% reduced healing. So great honor talent in this particular matchup. Method Orange don't actually have a Mortal Wounds effect on their team, no Sci-Fiend for Sam I Am, so they don't actually reduce Cubsy's healing at all in this specific matchup, so I'm not sure if they will ever be able to overwhelm him. I think this is a matchup where Cubsy pretty much gets to do whatever he wants, at least until Deep Dampening. Method Orange are trying to punish it by going after Cubsy, developing a decent amount of damage here with the stun and the silence. That Feral Affinity means Cubsy doesn't have immediate recovery, but he is able to avoid the fight by just repositioning, and then with Wealthy Man's snares, Sam I Am and Mez really can't keep up the chase. Iron Bark exchanged here onto Chanimal, a decent amount of damage from both Sam I Am and Mez. Curious to see if Mez looks for a Dark Simulacrum here shortly. Wealthy Man's casting Polymorph, didn't go for it. Sam I Am's in trouble. Wealthy Man snags the Polymorph. Dispersion, they're going through Dispersion. The Fel Fissure may be absorbing some of its healing, but Sam I Am gets around the corner. He looks like he's fine. Cubsy, though, gets in position for Cyclone. Looking for a stun. Mez is there to support. Cubsy doesn't want to risk it. Actually, not even sure if Cubsy is running the Cyclone. He is not running the Cyclone, so not going to be able to get any crowd control, just trying to go for the Feral Affinity stun instead. They do get the Gladiator Safeguard from Sam I Am. I would say that they have the mana lead, the cooldown lead, the momentum lead. So far, there's only been maybe a couple of moments where they get Chanimal decently low, but until we get to those deeper damage. Oh,
Ooh, this skull polymorph.
This could be the chain that they get a big cooldown, and there it is, the Unending Resolve from Chanimal.
That was big.
This composition is at least showing a lot more promise than anything else we've seen from Method Orange in the matchup.
Yeah, this is good. Mez doing a great job stealing that polymorph. Big highlight there. That's one of the powerful abilities that they have. A grip into a double fear. Nice setup from Method Orange. But Chanimal is just full HP. It was unfortunate. I mean, they land the full polymorph, they land the double fear, but the Iron Bark is enough to keep Chanimal alive with that Efflorescence heal. But, I mean, I hate to say it, but if the game goes on long enough and they get into dampening, that is a moment where Sam I Am and Mez might be able to take him down, but they have to last that long. This big damage on Sam I Am. There's been a lot of moments in the game where Sam's in trouble. No Dispersion. He's got the Void Shift. He might have to change his hit points with someone else on his team, but he has to be careful. He doesn't want to create a vulnerability there for Sea-Doo. If he swaps his hit points with Sea-Doo, then they might be able to make a swap onto him. But Sam I Am's eating so much damage. Chanimal just spam casting. Wealthy Man spam casting as well. Sea-Doo gets caught into a fear. This is actually a disaster for Sam I Am. This is almost certainly going to be the Void Shift. The big heal comes in from Sea-Doo. Polymorph as well. I don't know how Sam I Am's still alive at this point. They're not forced to use the Void Shift. Infernals get dropped out. Wealthy Man puts Sam I Am in a Nova, so the Infernals hit him. That was nicely done. Good fear over onto Mez. Mez trying to generate some pressure onto Cubsy, but unfortunately, Chanimal had good backup, was able to land the fears and shut that down. Chanimal, Wealthy Man pushing in once again, trying to get the pressure rolling on Sam I Am. We need to see another setup come in from Method Orange. Crowd control on Cubsy. They're actually going after Cubsy. Can they punish him? They dispel off the Gladiator Safeguard. That was massive. Cubsy trying to get out of line of sight. Iron Bark, Safeguard, procced. Sam I Am in hot pursuit with Mez, but you have to be careful. You can't leave Wealthy Man and Chanimal alone for too long, though they're going to be able to put out big pressure.
This is why Cloud9's Mage Lock Druid is the best in the world. They utilize all the strengths and weaknesses of their comp simultaneously, so Cubsy is likely to be the easiest target to kill before dampening with the Feral Affinity, but if you leave a Warlock and a Mage open, you risk losing the game to go after the best target. Because of that, Cloud9 always punish their opponents when they push forward on Cubsy. This then makes Cubsy not an option, so he gets to benefit from the Feral Affinity and add a huge amount of damage to his team. This impenetrable defense of damage and crowd control from Cloud9 is the reason why they are the spring champions, why they're currently the top point earners in summer as well. Method Orange are trying to grasp at straws for compositions to defeat them. Nothing has worked for them. They've been public to say that they feel hopeless against Cloud9. This Death Knight Shadow Priest, they're banking on it to at least get a point on the board against Cloud9. They've had promise. There have been moments that have shown that they are capable, but now those moments are no longer occurring, and Sam I Am is just falling inevitably behind.
Well, Sam I Am does manage to get topped off. We're at about 7 minutes in the game, 11% dampening. There's decent pressure, and here's the thing. The composition Method Orange is running, I actually feel like there is potential later on for good spread pressure. Mez, if he can get his diseases up on all three members, and Sam I Am can get VT Shadow or Pain up on all three members, they might be actually able to get some spread pressure rolling and really tax Cubsy's mana. But the problem is Sam I Am's going to have to do a really good job shutting down a lot of, or fake casting a lot of those interrupts. If he's getting spell locked and counterspelled, that's not going to happen. Like you see right now, Polymorph snuck onto Sea-Doo. Sam I Am does manage to find the Master Spell. Nicely done. Sea-Doo into another Polymorph, but Sam I Am's going to be full hit points. Good amount of healing coming in from Sea-Doo, the Fellfisher. Once again, that's something we really have to be paying attention to in the game. When Chanimal is able to land a Chaos Bolt, you can see it right now. It's going to drop a green, shaky ground on the ground, cracked earth. If Samayam's standing on that, it reduces healing by 50%. So Samayam constantly has to be repositioning every time a Chaos Bolt lands in him. If he sits in that, Sea-Doo will not be able to top him off and heal him up. So that's something that Method Orange really has to be paying attention to during the game.
All right, let's see if Sea-Doo can keep his team going here. The deeper we get into dampening, the deeper down the rabbit hole we go, the more chaotic things end up. Polymorph secured. Fear on Mez. 3 versus 1 on Samayam. How are Method Orange going to exchange? Samayam going to be using that leap of faith, pulling Sea-Doo into the frozen orb, breaking the crowd control. Good awareness on his part. That allows them to use less important defensive cooldowns to survive that assault. But Chanimal capitalizes on the positioning, goes after Sea-Doo with a couple of Chaos Bolts. He's struggling to even recover his own health. This is the advantage Cubsy brings on the team with that Feral Affinity. He is just tearing them to shreds. 2 members low. Mez is trying to steal some crowd control. What's he going to find? I don't think he found anything too important. Weltyman blinks over, looking to snipe the kill. Big damage for Cloud9. All 3 members pincering in on Samayam.
Let's see, are they going to be able to take Samayam down? Does Polymorph over onto Sea-Doo? Infernals get dropped out. Frozen Orb as well. There's big pressure coming out onto Sam. Sea-Doo, what is his mana situation like right now? There's actually good rot pressure. Interrupt onto Cubsy. You can see Weltyman's getting low. Chanimal also. Sea-Doo doesn't have too much mana left, but with those essences, should be able to stay at that point for quite a while in the game. Anti-Magic Zone trades from Mez to keep Samayam alive. He realizes it's a scary situation. Infernals are going to be doing massive damage over onto Samayam right now. Ironbark trades out. Cubsy stabilizes his health. Samayam still a little vulnerable. Actually, opposite trade of the Dispersion.
Overlap.
So now he's going to be vulnerable. There's no Ironbark and there's no Dispersion. He still has a Greater Fade, but he's just eating a lot of Chaos Bolts. Sea-Doo trying to shut him down a little bit. Greater Fade trades out. Fear now onto Sea-Doo, and Sam is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Sam is in a lot of trouble. He still has Void Shift, but Cloud9 could switch to the target that Samayam uses Void Shift to switch his health with, so that's going to be a bit of a scary moment here now at 29% dampening and always rising. Samayam getting Glidier's Maledicts activated onto him by Cubsy. Big absorption effect, putting him even further behind, and this composition showed promise, but maybe their defeat is just inevitable at this point. Chanimal pushes forward, but they try to punish. He has to trade Unending Resolve. A bit of a race here. Could be cross kills potentially. Chanimal's going for it. Big Chaos Bolt. He needs to. He Void Shifts over to Sea-Doo, but now Sea-Doo is low. Cubsy moves in, tries to get some added damage to Sea-Doo. No one else can really back him up. Chanimal is still low on health. Ironbark has to fade out. Cubsy's desperate. His team is starting to rot down. We're finally seeing the damage from Samayam be of some use here. Deeper into dampening. Can they get the kill? They've got Chanimal all alone for a couple of seconds. They need to take him out, but he deflects with a triple Shadow Fury, punishing the position.
Oh, they're gonna
Chaos
take him
Bolt's
down!
getting lobbed in. Gladiator's Safeguard gets dispelled. Perfect dispel timing from Samayam. Method Orange are finally, are they able to do it? Can they break the slump? Can they take down Cloud9? Chanimal, he's going for the kill at 1%, but ends up going down.
They did it!
Method Orange have finally done it.
Absolutely incredible. It's the Death Knight Shadow Priest. Of course, Method Orange would win with this composition. The mad scientists themselves always coming up with something. Even when you give up hope, like I swear they do this to their fans. They're so cruel. They find themselves in a situation where you're like, there's no way they can win. Like you're sad, you're demotivated, you're like, oh goodness, Sea-Doo, it's 1-4, but it's going to be 1-5. And then out of the sudden, they bring out the Death Knight Shadow Priest. It's absolutely incredible, and what a win.
Yeah, great performance by Method Orange, and I really like that they picked this composition on a smaller map. We were kind of wondering what are they actually going to end up doing. We were talking about Frost DKs, but having Sam here on the Shadow Priest in general, they seem to be doing really, really well. You know, they were talking about it as well over in Storm, saying that Shadow Priest lock is super good as well, but it seems like you can pair up a Shadow Priest and a Druid with a lot of different things and have a pretty good matchup here. Of course, here at the end, they got another one of those CC chains there with the Psychic Scream combined with the Death Grip from the DK, which is one of the strength of this comp. And then, of course, you also have the Silence to back that up. And then, you know, at this point in dampening, you just have so much damage plus spammable Purge that it's really, really annoying for Cubsy to actually keep Chanimal alive. And Chanimal, he did overextend prior to this to have to use his Unending Resolve, but it shows at least that this composition, they have a clear winning condition. Get the dampening, grip in the healer, use your Psychic Scream, there's your CC chain, and then you gain silence. Healer's going to be behind. You can spam out those Dispel magics, and if he dispels your dots, you're still going to get, horrored from the Vampiric Touch. So I like this comp.
Yeah, I mean, I really like it, and I'm super happy to see the Shadow Priest. You guys know me, I'm super biased when it comes to seeing Shadow Priest.
We're crying a lot
whether
when
it's
you read
the
the patch
move or
notes.
Storm, or now Sam I Am. I have my hope in you guys. But the real question I'm asking for after the break is it time for Snuts? Ladies and gentlemen, it is tied 1-1. Method Orange versus Cloud9, the winners of BlizzCon 2018 versus the winners of the most recent live event, the Spring Finals. And what a series we have. The first game, I think both the teams kind of put their best foot forward. Yes, we saw a couple of variations. Fire Mage for Wealthy Man, Windwalker Monk for Trill. But in game 2, Method Orange throw a curveball and it comes back with a victory, a boomerang, I suppose, with that one. It came right back, and now they're 1-1. But of course, the swing match still in favor of Cloud9. They do have the map and composition advantage here. And I asked the audience what they thought. Maybe Snuts comes in here. I want to ask you guys as well. Is it time for Snuts? We always say we'd love to see him. He's a fantastic player. There's nothing we can take away from him. Would you like to see him coming out here in this series, Zico?
It depends on what method blind locks. If we see one of their traditional cleaves like a Windwalker DK locked in, I rather just see the Mage lock Druid again, maybe bring the Fire Mage or the Frost Mage really on a big map. I see them winning that now. On the smaller maps, I think maybe we could see a blind locked game with Snuts, some Rogue Mage Druid. He's a phenomenal rogue player. They've been practicing it. They've had a lot of success before. They figured out how good MLD was with Snuts. So I think it could be an answer. But in this match, I don't expect it at all.
Frost.
And we are going to see a Frost DK,
I wanted
though.
to see it.
Excited.
I actually
Go
wanted
on,
to
Sid.
see that. Frost received probably some of the biggest changes in 8.2. They got some buffs to a lot of their honor talents, their damage overall, and then the essences brought in give them even more honor talents to amplify their damage. I think if they do a strategy where they're attacking Wealthy Man with the Delirium Heartstop, they're limiting his mobility, they grip in the Warlock, they stun both, and they go for that cleave damage that we saw Joel doing. I think you said 20 or 30,000 DPS somewhere.
Yeah, he was doing really high
in that
damage.
range.
Yeah.
I think it could be an overwhelming amount of pressure, that Method Orange deal. I think that's what they're trying to get done here in game number 3. And Frost is a lot better than it was when we saw Mez try it before. And they came pretty close with it before when it was not nearly as good as it is now. So perhaps this can work for Method Orange.
Yeah, I mean, Method Orange, they're kind of a crazy team when it comes to new patches, right? Obviously, they won BlizzCon when we were fresh into BFA, and this patch as well, they've come up with some really, really weird stuff. Rasidu's been playing Cindy Lou as Disc Priest. I think he won 2 games against Storm playing Disc, where he lost as Druid, and we talked about it a little bit in the last game as well. Trill bringing out new essences, Mez is bringing out new essences. These guys really do go after every nook and cranny to try find any advantage for their team.
I think it's just the nature of the players. I mean, both Trill and Mez have been, mythic raiders. They're in the PvE scene for a really long time. So whenever new patches come out, new gearing, new essences, they're going to be the guys that, find out every little thing that they can. What is doing the most damage in what situation? If they have high uptime, what is going to give you the most damage output? And they're always the ones that sort of come up with these little edges. And I think that's one of the reasons why, they're a successful team outside of being phenomenal players. But having that information edge is definitely a big advantage.
Yeah, and this is the sort of patch where they need that information edge. They need to be able to pull through here because they are still up against it. I'll definitely be watching the extension, you guys as well, to see what they are running in this game, because I think it is very interesting to see what such experienced players do favor in the early stages of a new meta. But Cloud9 here, Zico, they still have an advantage. It's Tolvaron Arena, it's their map choice, it's their composition choice, and I think for this specific game, it'll be great to see if the Frost DK does perform, but you've got to give the edge for Cloud9.
Absolutely. I'm kind of skeptical. I like that Method Orange is showing us the Frost DK. I like that they're trying it, but I'm still kind of skeptical just because it is a double melee-based setup versus a double caster comp, on Tolvaron, the largest map in the pool. But I think it's still nice for Method Orange. Even if they lose this, they know they have a more better matchup with the Shadow Priest DK waiting for them on the smaller maps, and they can still pick this on something like an Asha mains if we go there, or something that's a little bit smaller still that Cloud9 potentially could pick if it looks decent here on Tolvaron.
Yep, it looks like the Dunes of Tolvaron Arena are the map choice here from Cloud9. They're still running that patented Mage Lock Druid. They haven't been forced off it yet. If Method Orange could win this, it would be absolutely huge for the swing of momentum in this series, but they're definitely up against it in Game 3.
Very curious to see what build Mez is running in particular on that Frost Death Knight. What strategy we see from Method Orange. Are they going to be playing scared at the pillar? Are they going to go all out? Looks like they're playing a lot more aggressive, targeting down Wealthy Man, although he was able to blink out of line of sight or out of range of that Syndragosa. Powerful offensive from Mez, avoided with that blink, but hard stop Delirium going to make it very difficult for this Mage Wealthy Man to escape from battle. And I'm wondering what Essence he is also running the Conflict and Strife. So he's going to be getting a lot of extra damage. Good build here from Mez. Trill, though, equally so, taking a ton of damage from Chanimal.
Whoa!
Gladiator Safeguard on very low health. I mean, Method Orange, they're trying to play more aggressive, see how it works for them, but they are falling behind now. We see Wealthy Man able to force Trill back. Touch of Karma has been worked through. Ironbark has been worked through. Trill with not many options, and I think Method Orange are starting to think, all right, being aggressive isn't really working too well. We're kind of just getting beaten up right now by Cloud9, so let's just take a breather, go back to the pillar, take a sabbatical in Tolvaron, although I don't know any person in the right mind would want to take a sabbatical in Tolvaron. It's pretty hot there, but it looks like Method Orange are just going to take a breather.
Yeah, so for Mez in the Frost Death line, I think the main advantage, obviously we kind of talked about it, is the Delirium and the Heart Stop Aura. The thing is, those together only really give you a big edge if you have high uptime on a target. So they have to be on Wealthy Man for a good 30 seconds to a minute before you really start noticing a big difference in Wealthy Man's shimmers coming up a little bit later. So they actually have to stay in the open for a while if they want to take advantage of that, but it just doesn't seem like they're able to do that at all. Mez uses Death Grip, brings Wealthy Man a little bit closer, but he uses Shimmer to get away. Now Mez, just caught in midfield, going to be taking a ton of Chaos Bolts. You have, look at this positioning. You see Cubsy at the pillar, positioned very far away. He's just spamming out heals onto Wealthy Man. And you have Chanimal in midfield as well, putting on a lot of pressure with his Chaos Bolts. And Wealthy Man is just doing his best to drag Mez and Trill into the corner, so we can see Chanimal just putting out a lot of damage.
Crucible of Flame is actually being run by Chanimal, so he's mixing it up. I'm wondering if his whole team is. We saw Zuniaki on Enlight running 3 Crucible of Flame, but no, he's the only one on the team running it. It gives him a little bit of extra damage and maybe a heal as well later in the game if he wants to use it that way. But he loses out on getting the extra Honor Talent or just Infernal uptime. It seems a bit peculiar that he's running it. I think he's almost just experimenting with it, but I think for the Destruction Warlock there's much more high value in getting the extra Honor Talent than there is in the on use of the Concentrated Flame. The Crucible of Flame, unless you're going to run 3 of them and then try and go for all 3 at the same time when they've stacked up, try and burst somebody down, I could see that working, but that's not what they're doing. They're only running 1 of it. Counterspell on Sea-Doo. Scary moment here for Trill if he's not careful. He uses Touch of Karma. Could be ice blocked off if Wealthy Man really wanted to. I feel like the game hasn't gone on long enough that he would really get punished too much. Trill using Touch of Death along with it, trying to amplify it even further, but getting feared by Chanimal into a Frost Nova. Tiger's lost Death Grip to connect. Touch of Death going to connect as well, but not do too much. Cubsy had Ironbark up and ready. Going to be allowing Wealthy Man to be able to stand still. Chanimal's got Infernals into the arena. He's going to be doing a lot of damage, and Trill doesn't have a lot of defense. Is Trill going to opt to retreat away? They got Ursul's Vortex. He needs to be careful he doesn't use Transcendence during that. Instead, using the Flying Serpent kick, wrapping around the corner, but Sea-Doo again getting counterspelled. They switch over to Mez. Mez going to respect that and trade out Anti-Magic Zone. That purple defense in midfield, allowing Mez to soak up some hits for his team. This Method Orange look like they're retreating away, but they're not retreating away for free. All 3 members softened up here. Chaos Bolt flies in, Gladiator Safeguard proc. They chop right through it, spell stolen off. Diffuse Magic forced to be traded along with Ironbark, and Cloud9 are developing a huge amount of pressure in this moment of time, which is a bit surprising before dampening.
Yeah, I mean, Mez is just sitting in the open. Anytime Mez and Trill are in the open, you have a free casting Destruction Warlock. If there's anything that's going to do a lot of damage in this game, it is a free casting Destruction Warlock. And it's difficult for Method Orange. I mean, as this game progresses, I mean, Wealthy Man has been taking a little bit of damage, but Sea-Doo, it hasn't been easy for him. I don't even think Wealthy Man has had to use a Temporal Shield yet, let alone an Ice Block. So Mez and Trill, they're going to have to up their damage, or they need an extra little bit of dampening. The problem is, I feel like in dampening, the damage Chanimal is able to put out is going to force Mez and Trill to run away, or they could just fall down. Sea-Doo getting caught into a counterspell once again. Mez actually gripping Wealthy Man to the pillar. Trill trying to get there as well. He uses Transcendence. Wealthy Man blinks away, but that Shimmer cooldown, it's really, really long, and you're probably wondering, why is Wealthy Man just sitting there? Why isn't he using his blinks? Why isn't he kiting away? It's because Mez with Delirium, with Heartstop Aura, makes that Shimmer a really long, I think it goes up to somewhere crazy, like a 50-second cooldown, if they can keep that disease up and keep uptime on Wealthy Man. I'll have to double check those numbers, but it makes it really difficult for Wealthy Man to actually escape these melee. And later on in the game, when Cubsy's healing is a little bit less effective, that's when we could see a strategy like this being, super effective. The problem is, Sidhu's healing also gets reduced, and Chanimal is going to be able to put out a lot of damage on the Destruction Warlock. It becomes really scary really quick for Method Orange.
There it is, that magic number at the top of the screen. Method Orange's friend in this particular matchup to reduce the healing of Cloud9, hopefully allowing them to develop enough momentum to find a kill, or at least a cooldown. They've been struggling to even just do that. Cubsy positioned forward. I'm curious what he's looking to do, if he wants to get some crowd control. It looks like he's trying to re-stealth. He is able to re-stealth. No one stopped him. He jumps in, stuns Trill for free. Bit of a mistake here by Method Orange. Trill in trouble as a result. Touch of Karma forced to be used. He's low on health with Touch of Karma. Instead decides to go aggressive with it, try and reverse the pressure, get nice block, but Chanimal is there to intercept, and that's the thing, they've left Chanimal open for most of this match, going after the mage, and Chanimal has been able to fully capitalize on it, getting a lot of pressure. Infernal's in, one Chaos Bolt lobbed out. What are you gonna do, Trill? He's gonna portal back, but he's separated from Sidhu. They are so far apart from each other. Cubsy looks to intercept, but Trill ducks for cover, able to escape to safety with the Flying Serpent kick, getting picked up now by Sidhu. Mez decides, all right, I'm the only one out there. I need to get back to the pillar. Then Death Gripping Mez out of line of, Death Gripping Wealthy Man out of line of sight. Wealthy Man temporal shields the Death Grip, absorbs all of the damage, and then walks away absolutely at full health. Big Chaos Bolt on Trill. Rolls again around the corner, but Sidhu is interrupted. Trill needs to heal himself. Cubsy jumps in to close out the game, stuns up Sidhu. Trill, how are you going to stay alive? Even Cubsy at this point might be able to knock you over. Flurry from Wealthy Man. Trill holding on for dear life at the moment, but the triple fear? I'm so surprised to see Trill make it out alive there in that situation. Now, though, that he has survived, Wealthy Man's in trouble. They do manage to at least get the Gladiator safeguard, although they would like to get an ice block at some point. They're just not finding enough damage. Cubsy still at absolutely full mana, thanks to his new handy-dandy essences. The Ever-Rising Tide paired up with the Memory of Lucid Dreams. Definitely the best combo for at least the Restoration Druids, if not probably all of the healers in the current meta. Getting around that pesky necessity to drink and able to stay in the fight a lot longer and be a lot more limber.
I mean, that was actually unbelievable that Trill managed to survive that situation. Good healing coming in from Method Orange. Good survival tactics, but this is not the spot you want to be in, Sid. For Method Orange, in order to make the Frost Death Knight effective, you need to be in a situation where you can actually push in and have high uptime on a target. The thing is, when they're running and hiding, this is when they're very susceptible to the Frozen Orb, the Blizzard, the Ice Nova. All of this damage, all of these snares that Wealthy Man is putting out makes it really difficult for Method Orange to actually stabilize, and things start spiraling out of control quite quickly. But Method Orange, they're going to be comfortable to just hold on for as long as possible. Now Diffuse Magic's available, Touch of Karma is available, Fortifying Brew. Trill has all the defensive cooldowns that he needs to make an offensive push, and that's what Method Orange has to do. They have to bank up all of their defensive and offensive cooldowns to make a push in the game to actually take Cloud9 down at some point. Cloud9, they're going to be positioning very far away. They want to avoid that. They want to just get out their wizard damage from a safe range, avoid the melee damage. Chanimal going to be soaking a lot of this damage right now, but Cubsy and Wealthy Man in prime position to keep him alive, keep him going. And once again, it's Method Orange that's on the back foot, and it's Method Orange that has to retreat.
Yeah, this is an elimination series. Reigning BlizzCon champions, spring finalists, Cloud9 go head-to-head against Method Orange in an elimination series. Just the second series of the day. And we're already eliminating some of the biggest names in World of Warcraft history. Who is going to be going out? In this specific moment, it's looking like Method Orange. But Sam-I-Am's Shadow Priest did put a point on the board, so Method Orange can fall back on that for Game 4 and likely take us to a Game 5. But now, after seeing how this Frost Death Knight is playing out, unless by some miracle, by some work of God, they managed to take down Cloud9 in this game. I don't think they're going to go back to this Frost Death Knight strategy. I'm glad that they tried it. I wanted to see how it would work, but so far it's looking exactly the same as the Unholy Death Knight. Impossible. So Method Orange, they're going to have to come up with something else. they're going to really have to hope that the Shadow Priest Death Knight can beat anything
this
else that
formation.
Cloud9 have. The triangle position.
You love it.
It's perfect from Cloud9. At least one member of the team will be guaranteed to get. They're desperate. They're going after Cubsy. They say throw caution to the wind, kill Cubsy or lose. They can't take him out. Trill gets speared into a poly. C2 and Mez take a huge amount of damage from that push, but it's do or die. Mez is saying, whatever, I'm going to kill Cubsy or I'm going out of the game. They are fed up of running around the pillar, but Cubsy knows exactly where to go. Supati's patented wizard corner. If they go out into this corner, it's too deep in the deep end of the pool when you can only dog paddle against a frost mage. They're not getting back to shore. Big damage by Cloud9. They move to match point.
Yep, that was quite commanding there at the end. I love the fact that Mez just kind of randomly clicked in his head. He was like, I'm going to kill Cubsy now. And I think it does show to the desperation of that situation. Whatever Method Orange were thinking in that game was not working out. Just every single time completely pincered and controlled by Cloud9. And now Cloud9 once again on match point.
Yeah, not that surprising. Again, we were talking about it. The double caster versus the double melee on the largest map in the game. You just don't really have a great target to go after. I mean, here, you're forced always to run back because there's just too much upfront burst coming out of Chanimal. And then, you know, once you recover, well, you're gonna have to run across the entire map and try to take somebody down. They decide to go after Cubsy, and honestly, Cubsy doesn't even trinket here because he realizes that it's not even the touch of death. You know, he's just gonna go ahead and bark skin. Even at 30% dampening, Cubsy is just, you know, having no problems whatsoever making it out of this situation. And once you've committed to at this point, if you go back, you're going to have to stall, wait for your cooldowns. Dampening is going to be even higher by the time you make your next push. So Mez and Trill, they kind of decide to stay out in the open a little bit too long. Couple of Chaos Bolts from Chanimal, and that's 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, I can just imagine Cubsy kind of sitting at home, shades on, just chilling. He's like, oh, they're attacking me now, guys. Just no concern whatsoever.
I guess I'll use bark skin.
But I feel like, to be critical here of Method Orange, I actually feel like that was the worst time they could have made that push, because it was just when Chanimals popped his large Infernal, like his active Infernal, which is the most damage a Destruction Wallet can do. So it was a lot of disrespect on the side of Method Orange.
I mean, it was. I mean, I have to ask you guys as well, because I feel like this is something we've seen from Method Orange consistently. It's like, okay, well, we're going to wait till dampening, then we're going to try to make an offensive push, and it never works, ever. Ever. Yeah. It's never worked. Really. So I feel like for them, I would have at least liked to see them try the Shadow Priest again.
I agree.
Like on the bigger map, like play the Shadow Priest on Holy Death Knight. You can do the same thing where you run and hide behind the pillar, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility for that all-in push a little bit later on. I feel like the Shadow Priest is going to be able to put out good damage. Sure, he's just susceptible to interrupts, and obviously if he wants to cross the map, it's not going to be a good time, but if they just stick to their pillar and try to play the game that way, I feel like they at least have a clear win condition. But for the Windwalker Death Knight, it feels really hopeless.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the way that game went, right? There was 0 openings. We were talking about it. Every single time you heard either of you guys say someone was low, it was, oh, Trill, how did he get out of this situation? Or Mez, he's overextending here. You know, overextending is literally trying to attack a target in this matchup. It's so difficult.
Yeah, that's the thing. At any moment, I mean, we're being critical of Method Orange, but it's just they
can't do anything.
Their composition can't win.
Yeah.
I mean, it can. You have to be really lucky, and you have to be playing a Mage Elector that isn't Cloud9. Otherwise, you don't win. So I think just changing the composition, I mean, in theory, you always think, like, maybe we can do the all-in push, but Cloud9 knows how to handle it. Like, they've seen it this many times. They know how to handle it. They're going to be able to survive it. Method Orange, they have to do something else, and I really like that they brought in the Shadow Priest on Holy Death Knight. I want to see them try it on a bigger map, because if they do it on a bigger map, they play a little bit better, and they can get a consistent win condition, you know, at 40-50% dampening, then they actually have a solid answer for Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems that way. Cloud9 once again going to blind lock in the Resto Druid, Frost Mage, and the Destruction Warlock, and this is a small map choice coming from Method Orange, so I think we're all certainly hoping to see this Shadow Priest Death Knight once again coming in.
Yep, I think Shadow Priest Death Knight, I mean, it looked solid on hook point. I see a clear win condition for them. Kind of survive until you can get a kill on Chanimal, grip in Cubsy, get a full fear, get a silence, maybe even use your disarm on Cubsy and take Chanimal down. You know, he's not going to really be able to kite a DK with those Chains of Ice. And I see a clear win condition that way. You can just spam Purge as well. Once you get somebody low, it seemed like a strong matchup.
Why do you think, I mean, they are going to lock in the composition here, but I do want to throw it because Wildcard Gaming in Europe have been still running the Moonkin, right? They've been running for some of these deep dampening matchups, and they actually tried that into Cloud9 with reasonable degrees of success. They played like the Elemental Windwalker, they tried some Moonkin comps. Do you think that Method Orange, like they're playing, Sam.IAM's playing a lot of different casters for them, right? He's playing the Shadow Priest, playing the Mage, he did play a bit on the Moonkin, but he stayed clear of stuff such as the Elemental, the Destruction Warlock, which Trill, I believe, used to play, right? Like he used to play a lot of Warlock back in the day. Like
sure.
there's a lot of casters they could still like try out and stuff like that. Is that something they should?
It's the one sort of archetype that Method Orange doesn't have, right? They have the Cleaves and they have melee caster healer, but they don't have double caster.
Yeah.
Mez or Trill needs to pick up a caster. I mean, they could try what they're doing right now, which is try to make what they have work. And I mean, in the past that has worked for them.
Yeah.
But it's also a little bit of a gamble. I mean, when you look at a team like Method Black, they have everything. You know, no matter what patch comes in, they're going to be okay. For Method Orange, it's a little bit different. If double caster is good, Method Orange is a team that is going to fall off a little bit. And you know, I mean, we kind of want to see Mez and Trill a little bit more adaptability in these certain games, because Method Orange, it seems like they'll go up against a team like Cloud9 where their 3-4 compositions don't work, and then they just lose. They can't really come up with another answer, and I think it's unfortunate. So maybe that's something they do want to consider in the future.
Yeah, I'm sad because I want someone to force Snuts into the game. Like, Snuts is such a good player, and we did see him a little bit on Wednesday during the GCD broadcast, but we haven't really seen him much at all this year on the broadcast. Like, he made this big announcement, it's like, I am coming back to competing after the duel tournament, I believe it was, or one of the duel tournaments, the one on BFA that you won, I believe. And he loved the competing. We were like, oh, this is great. We're going to see Snuts, the legendary Snuts, back in the game, but barely anyone can force Chanimal off the arena right now. It's been such a struggle for these teams, and once again here, Cloud9 up 2-1. If they win this game, they will eliminate Method Orange from the competition, and Method Orange simply cannot afford that for another cup.
Yep, Method Orange simply cannot. They're so far not really doing great. I mean, they're third, they're tied for second, but Resurgent are in the upper bracket. They're already secured at least a further position. If Method Orange can't pull this off, that means that Resurgent can continue to build their lead, Cloud9 continue to build their lead. We see M2KC having a great run, the Move having a great run. Right now, it's not looking good for Method Orange this early on. This is a devastating amount of damage, almost an unexpected amount of pressure from Cloud9. They seem to be just all over Method Orange, looking to close it out within the first couple of seconds. They have to bank out basically all of their defense to stay alive, but now that they have stayed alive, they're counter-aggressing. They're going after Chanimal. Cubsy looks to deny the kill there with Ironbark. Is Ironbark going to even be enough? He is just getting slapped around. Now big heals come in. They're going to use Unending Resolve. Both teams just going right on top of each other. This is a surprising amount of offense from both sides here in game number 4.
Yeah, I mean, definitely good damage rolling in. It was a good start for Cloud9, but you can see Method Orange, they were able to easily recover from it. Sam.IAM, Mez, Sea-Doo, they're all full HP. When the cooldowns are available and Chanimal is pushing in with Unending Resolve, with Infernals, with Dark Soul, I mean, it's a great offensive push, but once that damage fades, it's pretty easy for Sea-Doo to deal with after that. And that's why you see a complete stabilization of everyone's hit points. Sam.IAM did use the dispersion, but it's a low cooldown, so it will rotate back up, and he'll have that available later on. One thing that is really interesting to me in these tournaments is just how powerful the mana recovery essences are. Like, before 8.2, we'd see a lot of these healers have to sneak away and go for consistent drinks in the matchup. And it doesn't really feel like that's something they have to look for anymore in these games.
Oh, the new essences, the Ever-Rising Tide, and the Memory of Lucid Dreams. Great combination for healers in this meta to remove the need to drink. But Sam.IAM's under pressure. Is he going to fall? This would be surprising. We've seen almost every game today in North America go into deep dampening, so to see a member die this early on would be quite a surprise. I'd almost say a bit of a throwaway. I feel like there's more than enough defense right now available for either side. They shouldn't be going down this early. Sea-Doo going to recover. Sam.IAM at the pillar. Mez being left behind a bit and crowd controlled for a long period of time. Cubsy's jumping in. They're going after Sea-Doo. They've isolated him. What's he going to do? They're bursting him down. This is... Whoa! Void Shift from Sam.IAM. Now he's low on health. Chanimal switches targets. Big Chaos Bolt. Barely stays alive. Has to fade. That fade's going to be fading. Is Sam.IAM just going to die outright? Insane push from Cloud9. Mixing it up, going after Sea-Doo. Costing him a lot of mana. Costing him a lot of cooldowns. And maybe costing him the tournament.
I mean, Sam.IAM's still in trouble. He's not out of it yet. He goes for the defensive silence on a Chanimal. Anti-magic zone trades out. But look, they've used everything. In Chanimal, he has his Dark Soul, he has his Infernal. So Cloud9 has managed to desync a lot of the defensive cooldown. Samayam, of course, does have the dispersion. Polymorph gets traded out onto Sea-Doo. I think Mez may have actually snuck in a Dark Simulacrum. He did. He has a Polymorph on Cubsy right now. Are they going to be able to get any pressure off the back of that crowd control? Doesn't seem like it so far, and Sea-Doo's mana is being taxed heavily in this game. It feels like Cloud9, they are really comfortable with this particular matchup. They're not afraid to get aggressive. They realize the damage from Method Orange just isn't high enough. They don't have a Mortal Wounds effect. Sure, they have Necrotic Strike, but it's just not enough without dampening to actually take someone down. And I feel like Method Orange, they basically just have to hold onto their boots for as long as they possibly can. Maybe make an attempt over on the Cubsy, but I feel like he's going to be fine. And this is kind of what Sea-Doo was talking about, where they play in these games and they're kind of just waiting to lose because there's just no good target for them. They can't go after Wealthy Man, Chanimal, or Cubsy. All three of them are essentially bulletproof to this composition that they're running until later on in the game. Eventually, Chanimal can fall, but there's just, the thing is, Cloud9 has so many windows of opportunity to actually take down Method Orange. Meanwhile, Method Orange kind of just has to wait, hold on for, 10, 15 minutes before they can actually secure a kill.
Buckle up, Method Orange. Keep your hands and legs in what is going to be the most painful ride for you all day at all times, because you're going to have to make it at least another, I feel like, 10 minutes to be able to take out Cloud9 and stay in the tournament, move to a Game 5, and then pray that Cloud9 don't have a counter pick to this Death Knight Shadow Priest. But I'm not even sure if the Death Knight Shadow Priest is guaranteed to win. Cloud9 have realized that before dampening, they don't really get scratched. They can do whatever they want, go wherever they please. The entire map is their playground, and if they keep pushing forward, they may eventually catch Method Orange off guard, and even one time will be the end of the game and the end of the tournament for them. Method Orange, they can make zero mistakes, and they've got a long way to go.
I mean, we're just now creeping up to the 5-minute mark in the matchup. Dark Simulacrum gets traded out by Mez. Let's see what he's able to get done. Now, I want to try to take a look at the point standings right now for both of these teams. Obviously, Cloud9, they're in a position where they won the spring finals, so they're doing quite well. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter. They're playing in these cups for points, also for prize money, so it's still worth it for them to make these consistent performances. And I think also it's really good for a team like Cloud9. Early on in the year, they're going to be qualifying to BlizzCon. They know that they've secured their spot, but I really like the idea that they're staying consistent. They're going to be, the front runners. Right now, they are currently the highest seeded team in North America. They have 180 points this season alone. Resurgence going to be behind them at 160, so it's been a good season for them so far. Method Orange, of course, they're a little bit behind. They have to play catch-up. They need to make sure that they're securing their top 4. This is not an ideal situation for them to be in. If they lose this, they're going to be exiting the tournament in 7th and 8th, and that is not a prime move, especially when you see teams like Mew Mew Kitty Cats and the Move right on their tail, just 40 points behind, and those teams are in the upper bracket. We're going to see them a little bit later today. If Mew Mew Kitty Cats and the Move can make a deep run, they could sort of dethrone Method Orange out of that top 4 spot. And if Method Orange doesn't make top 4 this season, they can't qualify. They can't qualify to BlizzCon. It's over for them. So they have to make sure they're doing a really good job in these tournaments. Otherwise, their BlizzCon dreams are over.
It would be unbelievable to not see Method Orange make it to BlizzCon after their great victory last year, but Cloud9 could make that result possible if they can close this out against them. Method Orange are running out of mana. Their cooldowns are starting to dwindle. Things are starting to fall apart. The only thing going in their favor is that they're still alive. And if dampening gets to critical mass, then maybe they can overwhelm Cloud9 with damage. But we see Cubsy. What's he doing? He's in cat form, having the time of his life, attacking Sea-Doo. All 3 members of Cloud9 closing in on Sea-Doo, looking for the chokehold, trying to close it out. But multiple Gladiators Maledicts absorbing Sea-Doo's heals. Sea-Doo tries to jump to safety, stuns up Cubsy. Cubsy was overextended for a long time. Mez is trying to punish, going after him. They've got him locked down. Can they find the kill? They silence him. They grip him back on the jump, looking to try and take him out. Apocalypse activated, but Mez can't keep up the chase. Cubsy will recover.
Yeah. Cubsy does manage to stabilize. Sea-Doo does escape, and it looks like he actually tried to sneak away for a drink. I don't think he was able to recover too much mana, but mana really hasn't been a factor so far in these matchups. Cubsy getting a little bit low. He's struggling to keep Chanimal alive at this point. Mez is putting in a lot of pressure. Samayam also. Chanimal and Wealthy Man need to make sure they're keeping their focus on shutting down Samayam. Interestingly enough, they're going after Mez. This is not something that we saw in Hook Point. They went after Samayam a lot more in the matchup, and I think it becomes scary. If you don't shut down Samayam, you're not polymorphing him, fearing him, spellocking him, consistently putting pressure on him, then he's going to have free reign in this matchup. And Shadow Priest do a lot of damage if they can free cast. So definitely something Cloud9 needs to consider moving forward.
All right, let's see if they can get it done here. 20% dampening and counting. Sea-Doo in crowd control. Mez targeted down. He's got full runic power. He can spend that on Death Strike to heal himself back up. I don't think he's in the most amount of trouble. But Cubsy does move forward, get crowd control, jump in, add some extra damage with the Feral Affinity. Mez is trying to steal some crowd control. What did Mez manage to snag? Maybe just death. He's still out in midfield taking a beating. Sea-Doo is still crowd controlled. Finally starting to end at this point. Now going after Cubsy. Trying again, wants to go after the healer. Can they get it? Cubsy doesn't have any defense in a second if they can stay on target, but the longer Mez spends going after Cubsy, the more Chanimal casts Chaos Bolt, so he can't keep chasing him. Opts to go after Chanimal instead, but still just lobbing out Chaos Bolt after Chaos Bolt. Sea-Doo in another polymorph. I'm still curious if Mez has managed to steal anything of high value. It might not matter. Void Shift, Anti-Magic Zone. Big overlap of cooldowns here from Method Orange just to stay in the fight. They're still on match point. Weltyman could switch to Samayam. There's 2 members low on health. Really limited on cooldowns. Cubsy is stunned up. Finally, some pressure. Samayam's damage is finally starting to sink in on Cloud9. Down at like 90% across all 3 players, but the pressure has subsided because Mez is forced to abandon the push and has to recover at the pillar with Sea-Doo.
Yeah, nice double fear coming in from Samayam. Cubsy getting gripped in. There's a bash over onto Mez. Sea-Doo with a counter bash over onto Cubsy. And I honestly like the adaptation coming in from Cloud9. Cloud9, one thing I like about their team is they are willing to try a ton of different strategies. They don't just stick with one strategy. They're willing to go after different targets. I mean, they'll go after Mez in this game. Going after Samayam didn't work on hook point. Now that Samayam's in the open, he's basically just a target dummy. Weltyman and Chanimal just teeing off on him, putting out a lot of pressure. Mez was forced to run away a little bit earlier, and that's the problem. If Mez has to run away, all the damage starts to lose. All the pressure, all the damage from Method Orange starts really, dwindling, and Cubsy can heal through it. So Mez has to make sure he has high uptime on a target, pushing in, but it's just so difficult, especially with the positioning you see from Chanimal and Weltyman in the matchup. Kleptomania comes in from Weltyman. Sea-Doo has to re-put up all his heal over time effects over onto Mez. Cubsy just in the face of Mez and Sea-Doo right now. This is actually quite unbelievable. Mez cannot get him off of Sea-Doo. Of course, Cubsy does shrink it out. He doesn't want to fall far behind. Managed to build up some damage. Sea-Doo's going lower and lower on mana. Cubsy at around 50%. We're at 34% dampening. And the question is, at what point in the game, Sid, do we feel like Method Orange is actually going to start developing a lead?
It depends. If Cloud9 can keep shutting down Samayam, prevent his vampiric touches from being casted, get on top of Sea-Doo and Mez and overwhelm them, I don't even know if dampening is 100% favored to them. Mez is taking huge hits, trying to hide around the corner, but Weltyman on one side and Chanimal on the other. There is nowhere to hide. Cloud9 is everywhere all at the same time. Big Chaos Bolt comes in onto Mez. Barely gets around the corner in time. Ironbark's defense has subsided. They go after Samayam. Big Ray of Frost. Chaos Bolt. Dispersion. Gladiator Safeguard. Multiple cooldowns forced. Finally some pressure on the Chanimal, but it is still Method Orange that are taking the pain. Cubsy jumps in, adds in a ton of extra damage. Icebound Fortitude needs to be enough. Mez is trying to make the push, but they don't have much left to trade to make the push. Multiple Chaos Bolt. Anti-Magic Shield gets shredded. Samayam is so low on health. He's pinned out in midfield. Weltyman looking to close it out with an Ice Lance. Anti-Magic Zone barely holding on, but there's no way Samayam can afford to stay out here. He fades on 10%, barely still in the fight. Cubsy's got more than enough mana to keep this going. Sea-Doo in a fear, and this looks like lights out for Method Orange. If Chanimal can get even one more Chaos Bolt, trying to get through the interrupts. Mez trying to wrap around the staircase corner. Sea-Doo looking to reconvene, but now he's stunned up. The 2 members are still at 50% health. Cubsy looks like he could just go into cat form at any moment if he really wanted to and just kill Mez. All 3 targets in trouble at this period of time. Samayam is interrupted. Weltyman and Chanimal are looking to push forward. Cubsy adding into the mix. Chaos Bolt gets stunned. Mez is desperate on the run. Cubsy doesn't care. He's jumping in, trying to snare up the team. Absolutely 0 mana left. I feel like I've seen Sea-Doo in this position time and time again, and he manages to pull it off, but I don't think it's happening this time. Double Mortal Coil. Chanimal in position to close. Samayam's Vampiric Embrace. Maybe that is the saving grace. With the Void Form activated, it could be enough healing to at least sustain their health at 10%. The cooldowns are rotating up exactly when Method Orange needs them. It's almost as if a miracle is happening to allow them to still be alive despite the push of Cloud9. Cloud9. Innervate comes up at exactly the same second that Method needed it to get some free heals. Sea-Doo gets high value heals, the Efflorescence and the Tranquility. Method Orange have stayed alive.
How?
Despite your negative attitude, Vinruki.
How did Sea-Doo keep them alive?
That's crazy.
That's actually unbelievable. Sea-Doo managed to keep them all alive, but Mez now with an offensive push. Hey, he's overstayed his welcome. Frozen Orb gets dropped down. Can he stay alive? Stun over onto Chanimal. Mez has to remain offensive, but I don't know if he has enough time. 1 Chaos Bolt lands, 2 Chaos Bolts lands, and that's the problem. Once you're this late in dampening, Mez just can't have enough uptime. It's just, there's nothing he can do. We criticize him that, we kind of criticize him that he's making these offensive pushes, to try to get some damage rolling, but he loses if he doesn't, and he loses if he does. So Method Orange, they have to figure something else out.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like he plays the game and he can do something, but he'll take a ton of damage, or he doesn't play the game and he's not healing himself and he'll die anyways at some point.
Yeah.
It's just this impossible situation. I actually, imagine if they'd won after they recovered from that situation. It was absolutely crazy. I don't know how on earth they managed to even keep it going that long, but 50% dampening, maybe in 8.2 is the new magical number for these Death Knights, because Mez just could not make it through in that situation, and Cloud9 pull through with the victory.
Yeah, even with the smaller map, it felt like Cloud9 kind of figured out what to do. Cubsy avoided a lot of fears as well towards the later stages of the game, and it worked out for them. At this point in the game, you kind of have Method Orange in a complete chokehold. Sam IAM's Vampiric Embrace doing a little bit of work. Sea-Doo getting his Innovate back, throwing up his HOTS on everybody, channeling out that Tranquility. Chanimal with a nice Shadow Fury, though, is going to shut that down. Sea-Doo, no Iron Bark, nothing really, not much that he can do. And if Mez stays at the pillar, well, they're just going to keep getting, Shadow Fury, then Blizzard, and Frozen Orb, then slowly but surely die. So Mez goes for the push, tries to go for the win, but of course Cubsy just deflects with the Iron Bark. Chanimal also has his unending resolve, just too far behind, at this point in the game, and eventually Mez is going to go down, so it wasn't really much he could do. It might look a bit silly that he left the pillar there, but he had to pick a point. Yeah, he had no option.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, that's going to see to the demise of Method Orange in this tournament, eliminated by Cloud9, having obviously dropped down from the upper bracket to Storm on Wednesday. Now, we deal with the upper brackets.